Hello everybody and welcome back to a new video. Today I have a January reading wrap up. Literally can't believe that we are already done with the first month of 2024. So I did have a pretty good reading month. I have read 5.5 physical books. I'll explain more on that later. Technically I've read 5 physical books. And I also finished 6 audiobooks, which takes my monthly total up to 11. I honestly feel like I've had such a good reading month. I found some all-time favourites. Literally every single physical book that I've finished this month, I've rated 5 stars. Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I'm just feeling a little bit generous as we are going into a new year, but every single book that I've read has slapped. Like, I have been in love and obsessed with them and literally found some new all-time faves. So let's just get into it. I'm going to do physical books first and then we'll go to audiobooks after. But the first physical book that I read was Us Against You by Frederick Backman. So this is the sequel to Beartown. It is the second book in like the Beartown trilogy series. We basically follow a small Swedish town. They are a hockey town, very like rural, away from the big city, and everybody in it knows everybody. It's a very small knit town. In the first book, we kind of get a big event, a tragedy that happens, and it basically splits the town in half because some people take one person's side and some people take the other person's side, and it's just kind of dealing with that and how sort of an incident like that affects a town like Beartown. But through it all, we get the themes of the Beartown Hockey Ice team. They're kind of like the glue that sticks the town together or tears them apart. I don't know, they are really hard books to explain just because I feel like they are pretty niche. Not in a bad way, but just like they're nothing like I've ever read before. So basically this one, Us Against You, follows on from the first book and sort of showing us how the trauma and the events that happened in the first book, how that is affecting other people and the other characters, and if they can move on from that, how they're moving on from that. I just absolutely love this. Beartown for me really took me by surprise in terms of how much I loved it, and this one was honestly just the same. Obviously didn't surprise me as much because of how much I loved Beartown, but just his writing style, the way he writes characters, the way the characters interact with each other, the setting, everything about it is just perfect to me. Obsessed with his writing style, like literally one of my favourite authors in terms of writing style. I'm obsessed. And this book does follow more of Benji, who I absolutely love. He's my favourite character in these books and he just breaks my heart. But I absolutely loved this, and this was my first 5-star read of the year. Then I went on to Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This is the second Abby Jimenez book that I've read. I read Part of Your World last summer, which we do kind of see some of these characters in that book as well. I don't know if they are necessarily counted as like a series. I know some people just read this one, but I did read that one first. We do see Brianna, who is the main character in this book, in Part of Your World. But basically this follows Jacob and Brianna. They are both doctors. They work in the same hospital. They kind of get off on the wrong foot. There's a little bit of like misunderstanding there. They don't particularly like each other's personality in terms of how they come across and the way that they met to begin with. But I literally fell in love with them. Like, they are one of my, not like all-time favourite couples, but in terms of like, they are soulmates, they are made for each other, and the way that Abby Jimenez wrote them two together, how they interacted, how their relationship grew and everything like that, I was obsessed. I loved Brianna even in Part of Your World when we seen little bits of her, but in this book I literally was in love with her. Same with Jacob. Jacob is a king. Like, he is one of the biggest greenest flags ever. The way that he talked about his mental health, and we do see him sort of struggle with anxiety, but the way that that was like represented in the book and the way that he dealt with it, and just his and Brianna's like emotional maturity and like emotional intelligence was just next level for me. I absolutely loved them and I ate this up and I literally was giggling, kicking my feet. I got butterflies. I was obsessed. This was another 5-star read for me. Okay guys, and then if you have followed me on any social medias and you have seen me talking about this series, I apologise, I'm sorry, because I'm going to bring it up again. So I started my first series of the year and of course I was obsessed. I'm in love. They live in my head rent free now, and that is the Boys of Tommen series. Guys, I literally have not stopped thinking about these books since the first day that I read them. Like, literally I was 10 pages in and I was already obsessed with them. I actually haven't finished the last one yet, which is why I was saying I'm like 5.5 books in, almost finished the series, but I am still on the last book. But I'm just going to count the fact that I've read it because I already know that I'm going to give it a 5 stars. Like, I just know it's a whole 5-star series for me. But starting with the first 2 books, we have Binding 13 and Keeping 13. So these 2 books follow Johnny and Shannon. Johnny is like a star rugby player. He goes to Tommen College, and then we have Shannon, who is from a completely different lifestyle, the other side of town, the wrong side of town. She essentially transfers to Tommen College where she meets Johnny, and just, I don't even know how to explain it. I went into these books thinking that they were just like another romance. Like, I was literally like, why the hell are they 800 pages long? It's literally a romance. But there is so much more to these books than just the romance. Like, we do get Shannon's backstory. She is like the quiet, shy, very reserved, has a traumatic past kind of gal, and obviously Johnny is like the life and soul of the party, the popular guy. I would check the trigger warnings for this one just because I didn't know what they were about going into it, and I imagine that a lot of other people don't either, because it actually is not talked about, I don't think. Like, it is not widely discussed what Shannon's past and upbringing and everything is, so I would be cautious of that. But that kind of just did add like a whole nother level to the books and to their relationship and to their love story. Like, it literally broke my heart. I cried at these books more than I care to admit. I was just absolutely destroyed. This one made me cry enough, but then when I moved on to Keeping 13, which again is Johnny and Shannon's second book, so we get more of them in this one, how they are sort of developing their relationship, like their friendship, everything like that. Shannon's past, what she's dealing with, her friendships. Just the found family in these books, and like the setting, the college, the outside characters, like the side characters. I was obsessed with every single thing about these, and I will think about these, honestly, forever. Then we go on to Saving 6 and Redeeming 6. So these 2 books are Joey and Aoife's books. So Joey is Shannon's older brother. I knew from the minute that we got little snippets of Joey in Shannon's book that he was going to break my heart. Like, I literally was reading the books, and even him as a side character literally messed me up. Like, I was distraught reading any of his scenes. Like, I love him and he deserves the world. And so I just knew going into these books that I would be an emotional wreck, and I have proved myself right. So we do get snippets of Joey and Aoife in Shannon and Johnny's books. Like I said, Joey is Shannon's older brother, Aoife is his girlfriend. That is how we know them in their books. You get like little bits of them in that, but honestly not a lot. So going into this, I was actually really surprised at their backstory, how they sort of got together. Like, in my brain, in my head, they were like childhood sweethearts, just destined to be together, which they are, but the way that they like got together, and even Aoife's personality was so different to what I had already pictured in my head. But I absolutely love her. She is honestly one of my favourite female main characters of all time. And I loved the sort of friends to lovers that they had. Again, they're like troubled boy, bad upbringing, she wants to save him, all of that. Like, oh, they just have my heart. Again, it is so much more than just a romance. We get the backstory, we get the trauma, we get the whole home life thing, and I just absolutely love them. So then going on to the last book that is out at the moment, that is Redeeming 6, which is the one that I said I have not finished as of yet. This one, again, we are getting more of Joy and Aoife, but this one is just like even more deep, like a complete level up, because Joy has been through so much, he battles with so much, he is like a fierce protector for his siblings, for Shannon, for his mum, for Aoife. Like, it's just a lot. It's a little bit too much for my little heart to handle. Like, Joy is dealing with all of that on top of like other issues, and Aoife is just like desperately trying to keep him sane, keep him off like the bad path that he seems to be going down. And it is destroying me, to be honest. Like I said, I feel like this will be a 5-star read for me. Everything that I read about this couple, about this world, about this universe just makes me love literally every single character even more. And I just have so much sympathy for the Lynch siblings that it physically pains me. I am going to guess that this will also be a 5 stars, considering the first 3 books have been a 5 stars for me. unless something goes drastically wrong. I did guess one of the big plot twists or plot lines in this book. I kind of guessed it from Keeping 13. I like knew it, and people that had read the book I was messaging like, I feel like this is gonna happen, and I was right, and I am interested to see how that will play out. I am at the moment about 300 pages in. I'm on page 290 and it is 950 pages. So I'm literally like not even a third of the way through, but I'm so excited. I am desperate to finish this, basically. So that is my little update on the Boys of Tommen series. Literally obsessed. I would die for them. I love them. I found a new series to be obsessed with literally 1 month into the year. If you know me, you know I'm a series girl through and through, and I just can't wait to be obsessed with them. Gibbsy and Claire's book comes out in April, and I'm so excited for that. Literally cannot contain myself. So they are all of the physical books that I've read. So going on to audiobooks, I listened to 6 audiobooks. I'm going to kind of give you a little brief run through. I feel like I never really talk about audiobooks and things like that as much as I do the physical books. But I listen to all of my audiobooks on BookBeat. I actually do have a discount code where you can get 80 days free if you sign up using my link, my discount code. So I will leave that down below. But that is what I use to listen to all of my audiobooks, and I love it so much. I have been on like a thriller audiobook kick recently. Probably since like last September, thrillers have been my go-to to listen to an audiobook. So this month was a very Freedom McFadden heavy month for me in terms of audiobook listens. So the first one that I listened to was Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney, and it kind of starts with like the main character being like, there are 3 things you should know. I'm in a coma, my husband doesn't love me, and sometimes I lie. And I was like gripped from the beginning. So the main character, like I said, she's in a coma, and we kind of get her point of view. She can hear things that are going on around her, but obviously she can't move, she can't speak, anything like that. And we kind of get like a past and present timeline of her being in the coma and then the events that led up to her going into the coma. I did really enjoy it up until like the 3/4 mark, and then it kind of just felt like things were getting like a little bit ridiculous. And I know the books and I know the thrillers, they're not supposed to be realistic, but it felt like we were just getting every single possible plot line thrown at us, and it just kind of lost me a little bit. I do love Alice Feeney's writing style, but this one just wasn't my favourite. I think I'll probably give it like a 2.75, 3 stars. I'm going to be honest, I don't tend to rate audiobooks that high, especially with a thriller. I feel like it takes a lot for me to love a thriller and to rate a thriller for 4.5, 5 stars. So a lot of them are around like the 3-star mark this month. Then I listened to Never Lie by Freedom McFadden. This one I did really enjoy. So this one follows Trisha and Ethan. They are newlyweds. They're going on like a house hunt to try and find their dream home. And one of the houses that comes up is this huge big manor house that belonged to a psychiatrist, but she went missing, and it's kind of like presumed that her boyfriend did it, but there's never been a body. So they go and view her house, but they ended up getting like stormed in. So they have to stay there in this house, and then whilst they are there, they're kind of like wandering around. I don't really know why. And Trisha stumbles across like a secret room, and in the room there are tapes from the psychiatrist's like therapy sessions. So she obviously listens to them, and then you kind of get the events leading up to the psychiatrist's disappearance. And I fully thought that I had this one sorted. Like, I thought literally about 20 minutes into the book, I was like, I already know what's going to happen. I figured out the plot twist. And I was convinced that I knew it until we actually got to the plot twist. And then I was like, oh, no, like you didn't have it. So I did really enjoy this one. It wasn't like my favourite thriller of all time, but it did keep me on my toes and I was thoroughly entertained. So I'd probably give this one like a 3.5, 3.75. Then I moved on to Want to Know a Secret, also by Freedom McFadden. So this one is set in like the suburbs in this cute little typical American housewife kind of setting. It follows our main character April, who is like a YouTube baking sensation, but she has secrets, of course, that she doesn't want people to know. And she starts getting texts from a mysterious number, basically taunting her, threatening her, everything like that. So we get April's point of view, and as she is like receiving these texts, what's going on, you get little snippets at like a backstory, her secrets, everything like that. Again, I didn't really love this one. It just wasn't a favourite really. I did enjoy it though, and I feel like Freida McFadden books always keep you on your toes. It just wasn't my favourite, but I did think, like I remember listening to it and thinking I feel like this will make a really good TV show. But again, my thing with thrillers is I do not enjoy like literally 90% of the endings. This one especially for me, I was like sold, I was like yeah, fair enough, until we got to like the last little plot twist. Hated it. Like it was just, again, so unrealistic for me, which I know is really annoying because I hate when people say that books aren't realistic because I feel like they're not supposed to be. But with a thriller, I like them to kind of be a little bit realistic. I want to still be shocked and find it entertaining and be gripped, but I don't like when they're like too ridiculous. So this one again was probably like a 2.75, a 3-star for me. Then I went on to The Co-Worker, also by Freida McFadden. Like I said, we have a very heavy Freida McFadden month this month. So this one follows two co-workers that work in like the same office with the same company. We have Dawn and Natalie. One day, basically, Dawn goes missing and her co-worker Natalie is really surprised. She doesn't know what to do. She calls the police and her boss to basically bring it to their attention. But when the police start investigating it, more things come up and it seems that it is even more serious and twisted and deeper than just her going missing. I don't really know how to talk about this one without spoiling it because I can't remember what like the huge plot twists were, but they are like interlinked in some way. There's more of like a backstory and a history and secrets, of course, as any good thriller should have. And again, I did really enjoy it. I feel like, again, Freida McFadden writes really fast-paced stories that do keep you gripped, but this one for me was just lacking a little bit of something. I don't know what it was. I finished this one and it just felt a little bit underwhelming for me. Again, this one kind of did give me like series, Netflix kind of vibes, but it just wasn't as entertaining as some of the other thrillers that I've read, and I felt like I wasn't as shocked and gripped and everything like that. Again, probably like a 2.75 for me. I would also like to say that like a 2.75 3-star rating is not a bad book in my opinion. I rarely, contrary to the rest of the physical books this month, I rarely rate a book a 5 stars. So a 3-star read is like a pretty good, like it's a mediocre read. It's not my favourite, but it's not the worst, just to get that out there. Then I moved on to The Mystery Guest by Nita Prose. So this follows on from The Maid. It's like a Molly the Maid mystery. I don't know if there's going to be another one, but it's like a little mini series at the minute. So Molly the Maid is in the first book, The Maid, and she's basically framed for a murder. Well, she's not framed, but they basically think she is the main suspect. And then in this book, another guest dies in the hotel, and it's kind of like a cozy little mystery. Molly puts like her detective hat on and she is trying to figure out who killed the guest, what happened, piece everything together. And honestly, I really enjoyed this one. It was a very easy listen. I feel like Molly's character is very likable and they do give very cozy mystery vibes. Like it's pretty low stakes, but not in a way that you aren't interested and gripped. It's just very easy to digest and I really did enjoy it. But this one again was probably maybe like a 3 stars, 3.25. And then the last one that I listened to was The Surrogate Mother by Freida McFadden. So this one follows our main character. She is like a girl boss, like she is really doing well in her career, but her and her husband have been struggling to conceive, to have a baby. They've tried IVF, they've tried adopting, they've tried everything. And they basically have like an adoption set up, but then that ends up falling through. And then the main character Abby, her assistant Monica, basically volunteers to be a surrogate for her and her husband. They are absolutely desperate for their own child, so they end up going through with it. But as you kind of get more into the story, nothing is quite as it seems. There's like a deeper backstory, there's some inconsistencies with Monica and her story. So you kind of have the desperation for a baby, but then the worry that the person carrying your child isn't who they said they are. I did really enjoy this one, and when I was listening to it at the beginning, I was thinking like this has the potential to be a new favourite of mine, like my new Freida McFadden book. But again, I just didn't fully love the ending. I felt like it was a little bit, I don't know, not even like underwhelming, but kind of underwhelming. So again, this one was probably like a 3 stars for me. But I do really enjoy listening to her books on an audiobook. I feel like they're very easy to get through, very easy to digest, and very fast paced. Like they keep you entertained and gripped. But they are all of the books that I have read and listened to in the month of January. 11 books, almost 12. I'm filming this a few days before the end of January, so I do think that I will finish redeeming 6 hopefully soon in the next few days. I'm sure I will be keeping you updated over on my Instagram, so make sure you follow me there if you aren't already. I do always have it linked down below as well as my Goodreads and everything like that. So thank you so much for watching, hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys!